396-5555. Jacksonville.
Handoff. Here comes Fred. Looking up the middle. Now cutting back. There he goes. Fred's at the 40. Fred breaks a tackle. He's on the run at the 50. Fred's on the go. He's at the 30. Fred 20. Fred 10. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Wow. So back he's got a hold. There he is, 30. Taylor outside 40. There he goes to the 45-50. It's a foot race 40. Taylor 30. Taylor to the 20. He's to the 10. He's pulled out, but he gets into the end zone. Touchdown on the first play of the game. 77 yards. Fred Taylor erupts. High kickoff. Desmond Howard's got him at the 10. Has blockers, 15. Now there's a reverse play. He throws it across the field to Cedric Tillman. Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith down the sideline. Here he goes, 40. He's got room. He could go. 50, 40, 30. It's a foot race. They're going to catch him. 10-5. Touchdown, Jaguars. 85 yards on the double-dipped alley-oop reverse play from Desmond Howard to Jimmy Smith. Unreal. They trail by 6. Brunel takes the snap. Quick throw. Howard catch. 15, 10, 5. He'll score. He'll score. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Touchdown, Desmond Howard.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Time for another episode of Jaguars Today here on your flagship home for the Jags, 1010XL 92.5 FM. Tony Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
How are things?
All good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. What are you most looking forward to next in the NFL offseason?
The GM getting hired
Okay.
would be the top of the list, and beyond that, I mean, I'm all kinds of curious about how active the Jags will or won't be in free agency.
Right.
You know,
I'm interested in the combine. You know,
Yeah.
I'll follow along with it, but we don't have a sense of who they're going to be into.
No, and the combine's been kind of a weird, slowly declining thing, it feels like, the last few years. It's more interesting to talk to the people that are there that are talking to everybody at the same time. You know, that's become the more interesting kind of aspect of the NFL combine, I suppose. I do think the technology that they have in football now, where you don't have to guess how fast the guy runs on field.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chip in their shoulder pads that's telling you.
Right.
This is how fast they play.
In full pads.
Right. Like, we don't need the measurements necessarily that you get there at the combine. It's more instrumental to have the opportunity to talk to these players, maybe for the first time, which is more what the combine, I think, has become about. But we don't see that part of it. Right? The thing that we see on TV is the 40 times and 3-cone and all these different drills. And it's not that it's not interesting to watch, but I don't think it's as nearly as informative as it was not too long ago.
Although I do think there's something to having everybody under the same exact conditions.
Sure.
Doing the same tests, you know, and that's why they try to establish that baseline. But you're right, with what they call the GPS systems now that everybody wears, you just are able to tell exactly how many steps a guy takes, you know, basically how many calories he burns, how fast he's moving, his reaction time, all these different things. That's just scratching the surface.
And it's where the smaller school guys need to excel at a place like the combine, because they don't have those measurements on those guys.
Not to the same degree.
Right.
So, yeah, right. At the bigger schools, you're going to get that. You're not necessarily going to get that. Not that you necessarily need Gray Zabel running 40-yard dashes for you from North Dakota State, what have you. All right, so today, good morning, Dylan Denmark, first of all.
Good morning, Michael.
How
I
are
have an
you?
update.
You have an update?
Yes, strip club update.
Okay, I was hoping that. What other update would you have?
I was headed back from work yesterday, and this morning construction is being on the ground right now. I don't know what's happening, but I will keep you posted. There are pickup trucks, and there are wooden stakes in the ground at the wooden line at the old SOS.
Didn't some folks on the text line tell us what they're putting in there?
If there was, I didn't see it. I missed it.
Okay, I thought I don't remember what it was.
Oh, you said it was going to be parking.
Yeah,
No,
you said it was parking.
I thought it was going to be parking for the storage unit beside it, but we'll see.
All right, seems like maybe a little bit more involved than a simple parking lot.
Yeah, you sound disappointed that it could be turned into parking.
Yeah, parking is kind of dumb for a storage unit.
I mean, that's a big downgrade for Dylan. He doesn't need to. He lives in the neighborhood, Tony. He doesn't need an extra parking spot. He's fine with that. He needs entertainment options, I think, is what he needs. The Tuesday top 5 today. I feel like I've got to write these things so specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really do. What are the all-time top 5 non-first round draft picks in Jacksonville Jaguars history. And then I put in parentheses, top 5 picks made in rounds 2 through 7. You got it, right? So there's no ambiguity. Anybody drafted in the first round is not eligible for this, right? Even if they're not the first rounder that year, whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of obvious choices that went in the second round for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you know, and as you went through, you're like, how can you leave him, and maybe him off, right? And so we're going to have a lot of overlap. So Tony and I decided to do 2 separate top 5s today. We are still soliciting your top 5, just whatever you think are the all-time top 5 non-first round picks that the Jags have made. But we did kind of a best player category, top 5, and also best value, top 5, because they're not necessarily the same thing. And look, we all love value, but I'd rather pay a second round pick for a guy who's going to start for me for a decade than say, oh man, I got 3 really surprisingly good years out of my 6th rounder. You know, that's great too, but not necessarily as important as the former category. So you can hit us up in a variety of ways with that today if you want to get on the program at 641-1010 on the phone line. So the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
All right. I feel like that was a panic one.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were doing that. Like,
yeah,
right
I just said, I felt like it was just that time, and it was just kind of organic and natural. I didn't want to save it to the end. I didn't know you needed an extra 5 minutes to come up with the 2-second drop that would go down there. But I did feel like there was a little hesitation, a little hezzy move in there with a little bit of panic. So we'll also hear from Trevor Lawrence today, Tony. He went on the Kay Adams podcast yesterday and said in no uncertain terms that Jacksonville is his home. Now, granted, look, what else should a guy say, right? That when a team is giving you that kind of contract, you're settled in there, you've sunk your roots. There's nothing to this Pittsburgh trade story, as we found out. The Jags, according to sources, didn't even field a phone call from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So who the hell knows who told this guy that started this story last week that the Jags had at least taken a call from the Steelers. By the way, the story was never that the Jags were interested in moving Trevor Lawrence. It was just that the Steelers were knocking on doors around the league, and I think some people read that as, why would they think Trevor Lawrence is available? Because he's not Patrick Mahomes, right? There's a half dozen quarterbacks you'd never make a call on. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys, but I do like the fact that he stood up, metaphorically speaking, and talked about how much he likes the hire of Liam Cohen, sees a bright future for Jacksonville. He and his family want to be here, love the city, and I don't get tired of hearing that kind of stuff. No. I don't feel like it seems obvious that you would say it, but I don't feel like you have to say it either. He doesn't need to go on. Like, the whole thing was just a non-story. He doesn't need to go on a national podcast and clear anything up.
And when he gets asked about it, to say, no, I want to be in Jacksonville, and he says the word Super Bowl, right?
Correct.
Like, when he's being asked about it, he's like, no, I want to win a Super Bowl, and I want to win it here. You know, like that kind of thing. It doesn't mean anything in the long run as to how good or bad the season's going to go, but it does mean something, I would think, for the fan base to hear it. Be like, yeah, that's my guy. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this whole Pittsburgh thing. It was kind of... you're watching that little interview that he had with Kay, and Kay's like, you really? Mike Tomlin reaches out, and you don't think that's it's like, no. Like, Trevor's like, no, I'm happy. Right? Like, I don't need that. I've met I've met Mike Tomlin a couple of times. He seems like a cool guy. I'm happy where I'm at. For him to reiterate that every time it's ever been asked of him, it was such a big deal for everyone around the National Football League when it was obvious he was going to be coming to Jacksonville and all these questions. Well, now his career is going to be so much smaller. The money he's going to make is going to be so much smaller. He's never going to be content in a place like Jacksonville. How could anyone be content in a place like Jacksonville? And every time that kind of question has been asked to Trevor Lawrence, he's been like, no, I'm happy here. And now he's got family. Like, he's growing roots in Jacksonville.
Like he hasn't had any of the – there's no – I mean, it's hard to quantify, right? But I don't think there's been a big negative from playing in a small market yet for him, because I think he's
everyone knows.
If he had played anywhere else, any other team had him, he'd be as well known now as he is right now. He might, in fact, benefit from it a little bit, because let's say the Jets had taken him, right? And you're in a much bigger media spotlight. Like here, people make a passing comment nationally. Oh, that's a pretty big contract Trevor Lawrence got. And then they don't think about it anymore because they're not trying to cater to a Jacksonville audience, quite frankly, right? But, I mean, how many times have we heard recycled Aaron Rodgers stories, even though he's not on the Jets or doesn't look like he'll be on the Jets anymore, right? I mean, if Trevor Lawrence had played in that circumstance, I think he might be judged a little bit more harshly right now. It's hard to say. Now, after 2022, he might have been anointed as a top 5 guy, if he had lifted a team like the Jets to that same success, albeit short-lived in the postseason, to fall behind, to come back like he did and go toe-to-toe with the Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs as well as the Jags were able to do, even though they came up short. But I do not get tired of hearing Trevor Lawrence give a full-throated defense or I don't even think it's a defense. It's more kind of like here's why I think, Liam Cohen's the right guy. Here's what I'm excited about with Liam Cohen. I think we've got a lot of pieces in place. I think we can win here. And again, what else is he really going to say? But he doesn't have to say anything, I guess, is the point. If Trevor Lawrence was at all disgruntled, and I don't think anybody's suggesting that he is, but it's funny when these stories come up and, people start wondering, are the Jags really going to consider moving on from him? Well, you might consider anything. Tony has a favorite whatever at his house, and I said, Tone, I'll give you more than you ever dreamed of for that item. You'd probably consider giving up that item. At least consider it at that point in time. This one was one that the Jags put the brakes on very quickly last week. In fact, Liam Cohen apparently made a comment to Trevor Lawrence like, I'm sorry that I even have to make this comment to you because it seems silly. But rather than letting it fester at all, there's none of this coming from our side. We're, and again, I don't think Liam Cohen ever gets the job unless he is throwing full-throated support behind Trevor Lawrence as the future of this organization. Because this organization wasn't ready to pivot. Now, I say this organization, Shad Khan, was not ready to pivot off the GM, who we all wanted to see go. He certainly wasn't going to pivot off the quarterback, who he had just agreed to pay all that money, and that money is just not kicked in yet. I mean, he knows what the pre-Trevor Lawrence days were like and how difficult that is to win. And not that Trevor Lawrence has snapped his fingers and come in here and this team has won on a consistent basis, but I think Shad is smart enough to know they've got a better chance of doing exactly that if they stick with the direction that they're headed in, obviously with some changes, and that's where the coaching staff is going to come in this offseason, as well as the front office for that matter. So if you want to get in, you know the ways to do it today. We'll take your calls. We'll take your top 5s. If you've got a top 5 list of the best Jaguar draft picks after the first round. Plenty of success in the first round. Plenty of failures, too. By the way, R.J. Soward won the poll rather handily yesterday, Tony, as we asked who was the worst wide receiver draft pick in the first round. We've got 2 more polls to go with a total of 6 players in them that we think are as bad a first-round picks as the Jags have made, and you'll get a chance to vote on those over the next couple of days. And the winners or losers, however you want to look at it, of the polls will move on to a Friday runoff to determine the worst first-round pick in Jacksonville Jaguar history. Soward pulling in 48% of the vote roughly yesterday. 30% went to Matt Jones, 18% to Justin Blackman. Only 3.7% went to Reggie Williams yesterday, so he will definitely not make the runoff on Friday. We are ready to go. Phone lines are heating up already. We got our top 5s to get into today. We'll have Trevor Lawrence audio from the Kay Adams podcast, some news on some potential free agents that maybe fits with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That and more coming your way today on Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
This cannot be a team of common men, because common men go nowhere. You have to be uncommon.
1010XL.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. Take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. In the past 10 years, the weight loss industry has seen it all. New medications, fad diets, sculpting, and still, Awaken 180 continues to stand alone as the proven solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
AC replacement? Not warming up when you want it? If your HVAC unit is close to calling it quits, make sure you call Florida Home AC. With over $4,500 in buyback and tax credits waiting for you, take advantage of it. 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator Updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
These days, we do everything from our phones. That's why JEA's app lets you manage your utility services anytime, anywhere. Whether you want to view your account, pay your bill, sign up for programs, or check the outage map, you can do it all right from the app, when and where it's convenient for you. Because we want to make doing business with us as quick and easy as possible. Download the free JEA app from the App Store today. JEA, your community, your utility.
How many schools are there in the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the Pac-12?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
There are 16 teams in the Big 12. 18 in the Big 10, 16 in the SEC, but only 2 teams remain in the Pac-12.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com. 1010 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Yeah, we'll hear that audio with Trevor Lawrence coming up maybe in about 15 minutes or so, where he went on with Kay Adams yesterday in the Up and Adams podcast. And somebody in the YouTube chat said, and I'm assuming referencing the story or item or whatever, the tweet.
Yeah.
With a guy who's a basketball and golf writer said that, the Steelers called the Jaguars. They said it was made up to make noise and cause drama. But to what end? Exactly. I don't know. I didn't feel like this guy was I feel like other people picked it up, and maybe that's the secret of going viral, right? But I don't know. I didn't feel like this guy. It was a weird thing, Tony, if you're going to come out of the blue and one day decide, you know what? Me, make noise and cause drama. And this is what I'm going to go with. It's not even that controversial. Hey, guess what? The Steelers, who currently don't have a quarterback, are calling around to see which ones might be available. I don't think it's that outrageous, you know? It is a big story for us because it affected our quarterback, and we only have one pro team in town.
Yeah. From the perspective of, really, Trevor Lawrence, that's the direction you went with it?
It just didn't seem
it was such an odd thing. And then, we had Mike DiRocco asking immediately, because he was down there in the building, hey, what's going on with this thing we saw? And they're like, what? No
truth to it.
Nothing. No, And so as we'll hear Trevor Lawrence saying, yeah, I talked to my guy and he reached out to Adam Schefter, and there's no, there's nothing to it. It's okay. There was nothing to it. I don't know what that guy heard or from who, that he felt comfortable putting it out there on X that's the thing that was going on, but it doesn't seem like it even had tiny miniature legs.
It's just right. It's just a weird thing to kind of hey, who's a guy who had never really had a pattern of doing this kind of stuff, and he just decided, watch this. I don't know. It's weird to me, right? I think he believed it was true. He put it out there. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know. It's quite possible, right? But anyway, if you want to weigh in the various ways, including the YouTube chat, hit us up and let us know what your thoughts are on Jaguar football. We got the phone lines rolling. I wanted to get to, because you and I, when we did our top 5 wish list for available free agents, both had Jaire Alexander at the top. Rob Domofsky over at ESPN wrote a piece on the Packers offseason upcoming, and a long section on Jaire Alexander, why he may not be available. I think it's worth taking a look at, so we'll do that a little bit later on. Let's go to the lines now at 641-1010 and see what Eric on the South Side has on his mind. First up today on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Excellent. What's up, man?
All right, so my top 5 second-round picks for Jags. Number 1, obvious, Maurice Jones-Drew. Number 2, I'm going to go with Rashad Jennings. He was nice. Number 3, I'm going to go with Allen Robinson. Number 4, I'm going to go with hometown hero Christine Mathis.
Okay.
And then number 5, I'm going to go with Miles Jack. Technically, he was the first two-way player. He played running back and linebacker at UCLA. So that's my top 5, round 2 through 7 picks.
Okay, that's cool. When you say first two-way player, you don't mean ever. You mean, what do you...
No. Well, what I mean by that, with, the Travis Hunter playing...
Right, sure.
Receiver and corner, Miles Jack did it.
He did, and he was pretty good as a running back at UCLA.
Yeah, he was solid. I thought we was going to have a package for him coming to Jacksonville, but he strictly played linebacker. So and it turned out pretty good. And, we got the Miles Jack was never down situation, so... Yeah,
Miles was a good player for the Jags. There's no question. Let me ask you, Eric, and I appreciate your top 5. How do you feel if they had the chance to get that other two-way guy? What is your interest level in Travis Hunter this year?
You have to. I think there's no question about it. If the top 3 teams are thinking about edge rusher or quarterback, I mean, you have to go get that special player. Travis Hunter coming to Jacksonville, that would bring so much hype. So many kids, they already want to be like Travis Hunter. So that would be a huge hit to the community. And then we need a lockdown corner on the other side of Tyson Campbell, and hopefully he'll make Tyson Campbell better. You know, like, hey, this guy coming in and he may start, week 1. So let me tighten up on my skills. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he'll come in and bring that mentality that everybody wants to win.
A little competition, raise the bar a little bit. All right,
Yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
appreciate it, man. Thank you. Have a good day. And I like Rashad Jennings. Cole, a little off the beaten path, 7th round pick for the Jags, and had a nice, not a spectacular career, but that's some, as you're figuring out who the better picks are beyond round 1, I thought Eric Vermint there was going to go all 2nd-round picks. So the way he described him, like, all right, it's not the question. But no, then he threw in Rashad Jennings, and I'm like, okay, he knows the assignment, and put a lot of names in there that I think are going to be very popular this morning.
Yes, I have a feeling they will be. Not all of them were on my 5, but we'll get to that later on.
Yeah,
in the show.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, appreciate you getting us started this morning. Let's go to Steve in Nocatee next up here on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Excellent. What's up, man?
Excellent. Hey, so I just wanted, this is kind of off beat with the 5 picks, but when we hired Liam Cohen, I was wondering, they said, him and Shad Khan said, this team is better than what's being shown on the field.
Yes.
My question is, I obviously want Trevor Lawrence to tear it up, but if he doesn't, how's that going to hurt? Do we stay with him every year, or he plays the same? Is it going to be, I guess, would a team want him after next year if he shows the same play? What's the value there? Do we, I'm just curious on that.
Well, sure. I mean, look, it's impossible to know exactly how that would play out. If the Jags go 4-13 again, Tony, they're going to be all kinds of slings and arrows being thrown at him from a lot of different directions.
Sure.
When you say, did Trevor Lawrence play like that again? Well, was he healthy? Is one part of the equation. I mean, I don't know, and I'm quite frankly not in the mindset of trying to figure out what we can get for Trevor Lawrence 2 years from now after he fails for the next couple of years.
It's kind of one of those questions where if it comes up, we'll discuss it when it does, right? Like if he does have 2 years of really struggling at the position, then we'll all be reacting to that as it's happening in real time. I don't see the need to try to anticipate it unless you're angling towards, well, they should trade him now because he has some value. And to that, I would say, no, I have no interest in doing that.
Let me ask you this. If Pittsburgh really wanted Trevor Lawrence right now, right, what do you think is an offer that is fair, that I'm not saying necessarily the Jags would take or that Pittsburgh, like what is the baseline of the bones of the deal? To me, it would be first and second this year and a first next year, minimum.
At least.
It just would. Yeah. Look how many times you swing and miss at quarterbacks in the first round of the NFL draft, and they're already trying to decide if they want a guy who's already considered a retread from the same draft class as Trevor Lawrence in Justin Fields.
Like that would be also contingent upon you'd have to be comfortable with some quarterback in this class. Right, like if you were going to be doing that
from the Jags
given where Pittsburgh always drafts, like if you're getting those picks from Pittsburgh, you're not in a position to go get a quarterback to replace Trevor Lawrence at that point either. So that would come into it as well.
Sure, I mean it would be like the idea that no one wants Trevor Lawrence right now, I think would be silly.
That is
so. The idea, and I, when you say if he plays the same way, I don't know, because I think his value right now is still very high. He's 25 years old. He's in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people – I think Liam Cohen is serious that he's excited to work with Trevor Lawrence. And Grant Udinski has been raving about it. He can't put into words how excited he is to work with him. Now, look, again, what's he supposed to say? He got hired as a 29-year-old offensive coordinator, but he's a guy who interviewed in a number of different spots and was seen as a rising star. If he felt like this was an albatross that was going to be hung around his neck, especially going into a situation where he's not going to get to call plays, then why would you take the job when you've got other options out there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not really concerned. That's not where my mindset is. If it happens, it'll happen, and we'll deal with the fallout at the time. But I'm not going to sit here and try to predict, well, what can we get for Trevor in 2 years if he continues on a downward path? If he continues, there's going to be so many problems if that goes in that direction.
Yeah.
And by the way, no matter what he does this year, they're pot committed to him, I think, for at least like the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? And he would have to be incredibly bad over that period of time. I think the overwhelmingly most likely scenario is Trevor Lawrence will sign another big deal with the Jaguars one day, when he's got a year or two left on this current deal.
That's more likely than 2 years from now, everything's falling apart to
In
the
my
point
opinion,
where they got to get rid of him. I'm with
so,
you. Yeah.
And, that's how I feel about it. Let's get Marcus in Riverside next up on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Marcus. Marcus? All right, let's try Montez. Is that Louisiana or is that Los Angeles? All right, Montez in Los Angeles. What's up, Montez?
What's going on, guys?
How
First
are you?
time, long time. Enjoy the show. I have to get up super early to listen to you.
What are you doing hiding out there, man? This is the first we've heard from you out in L.A., huh?
Yeah, it's the very first time I called. I just wanted to comment on one thing before I get to the question.
Okay.
You had a caller talk about Rashad Jennings. Funny story, he lives out in California. I'm a photographer, and I actually photographed his engagement. So that's
did you?
That's like, yeah, I did. Actually, I did.
Very cool. Let me ask you, before you give us your top five, how do you become a displaced Jaguar fan in Los Angeles?
So, funny story about that. Growing up, I want to say maybe early 90s, Jaguars and the Steelers, same conference. I used to watch those games come on Channel 2. They played the Steelers. In my area, Steelers was big. I thought they had a great defense, and I said, I love Marcus Stroud. I love John Henderson, Double D, all those guys. And I said, you know what? This is my team, and I've been rocking with them ever since.
All right, so you just picked them based on their performance. I like that. All right, so give us your top five Jaguar draft picks after round one.
Okay, so I had a hard time deciding who would my number one be.
Okay.
It had to go between Tony Brackens and Maurice Jones-Drew. So
Yeah.
I would say maybe T. Brack, then Maurice Jones-Drew.
Okay.
I like Double D, obviously Donovan Darius.
He's the first-round pick.
Oh, he was a first-round pick. Oh, shit, that's right. He was. My bad.
Oh,
Sorry,
Montez.
He was a
Montez.
first-round pick.
You got
My
that,
bad.
Dylan?
I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead. Who are the rest?
Okay, so I like Aaron Beasley. I like Miles Jack. And then I also like – I had a hard time thinking about this one too. Let me think. I can't think of my fifth.
All right, Montez, we appreciate you breaking the seal, coming on first time. All right, you got 4 out of 5, so we'll take that for today. May I suggest Rasheem Mathis? We'll just throw him out there as a guy to fill in. But we appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Let's get Marcus. I think we got him straight here in Riverside before we hit the break. Marcus, what's up this morning?
Hey, sorry guys. I have 3. I didn't come up with 5, but I have 3 super duper underrated Jaguar players. My first is Darryl Smith for sure, and then after that, I'd have to go with Brad Meester and Rob Meyer in 2000.
Love
Rob
Rob Meyer.
Did a lot more for the organization than people realize.
Yeah, Rob Meyer's one of the great value picks that the Jags have ever made. There's no question about it, man. 7th rounder, played I think 8 or 9 years for the team.
9, yeah.
Right? Didn't only missed I think 6 games in that time period, and until his final year, he had only missed 1 game in his career, and was a great third wheel along with Stroud and Henderson for sure. Marcus, all right, appreciate it, brother. Thanks for checking in. All right, there you go. If you want to get, and by the way, it's not just, underrated. It's who you think the best picks are. It's a combination of value and the best players. It can just straight be, look, it's your list. Make it how you like. We'll get through ours coming up here shortly. Tony and I have looked at it from a couple of different perspectives. Top 5 best picks they've made in terms of best players that they've acquired, and also the top 5 value picks. So if you want to share your list, 641-1010 is the way to do it here. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Once again, a little cool out. Temperatures in the 60s today. That's like winter in Florida, at least here in Northeast Florida. That's what passes for winter around these parts. And when it's cool out and you need a little something warm in your belly to keep you going throughout the day, Dandy's got your back. A local company started by the Thompson family here in Jacksonville nearly 70 years ago, and they continue to thrive on the First Coast because they give you fantastic food delivered fresh daily with high-quality ingredients, locally sourced as often as possible, great variety, and prices that never break the bank. Right now, with all the chilly weather out there, Try their country sausage biscuit pack, perfect twin pack to enjoy or share. Each one a 1.5-ounce country sausage patty from Swaggerty, the best tasting sausage in the USA, served on a Pillsbury flaky biscuit. Exactly 60 seconds to good. That's dandy. The name to know in Duval. So when you're hungry, do what I do. Go out and make yours a dandy. Do it today.
Jaguars Today.
For the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. At 1010XL. Things you never hear Dan and Jeff say.
But I do know now that I shouldn't have yelled at you. I yelled at you a lot.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser are The Drill.
I know it wasn't all your fault.
Mornings on 1010XL.
I mean, it could have been partially my fault.
It's my fault.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off.
Delay a game on the guy who hasn't bet yet.
Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. There's sportsbook for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey, gang, Prosser here. We've talked about some of the struggles that you may come across when it comes time to sell your home. We've told you how great Chad and Sandy are at chadandsandy.com. But, you know, they're also great when things are going good, and the economy is showing positive signs. Now may be the time to sell your home at the price you want. It's easy to find out. Get friendly expert help from the Jacksonville agents who eat and sleep local real estate. Call my agents, Chad and Sandy Newman. So maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Chad and Sandy can do that. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. Well, let's take care of that right now, because here's the Chad and Sandy guarantee. Your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Jonathan in Mount Pleasant said the only thing standing between me and my dream of traveling in my RV was the sale of my Mount Pleasant home. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Crazy results in just 3 days. Multiple offers, full asking price. You can get it too. Call today or go to chadandsandy.com.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman. We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Hi, I'm Michelle McManaman, 2016 Chair of the Players and CEO of Operation New Uniform, a nonprofit that equips veterans with the skills to succeed in business. It's 21 days until the Players.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Ackerman Urology is now servicing the World Golf Village area. If you have elevated PSA, prostate, bladder, or kidney issues, plan to see the experts at Ackerman Urology right away. Their new location off I-95 and International Golf Parkway.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us all better.
Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we'll get to our Tuesday top fives coming up. Tony, want to hear a little bit from the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, appeared yesterday with Kay Adams on the Up and Adams podcast as in part to respond, I guess, to questions. His name's been out there over the last week. It's not really a question, but at least, look, if you are doing a national NFL podcast at this time of year, other than the Super Bowl, what are the storylines, right? Pending free agents, this is a storyline. So, fine. Trevor appeared, and he'll talk about, his thoughts about playing for Liam Cohen and potentially recruiting T. Higgins to come to Jacksonville. That's if T. Higgins makes it to free agency. A lot of talk now that Cincinnati is going to put on the full court press to try to figure out a way to keep the core of Joe Burrow, who's under contract. Jamar Chase needs a new deal. T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, the pass rusher, who's had the most sacks in the league, I believe, over the last 2 years combined, all together in Cincinnati so that team can make a run at it. T. Higgins going to be coveted by a lot of teams if he makes it to free agency. But here was Trevor. This is an extended little back and forth with Kay Adams on his reaction to hearing the rumors about the Steelers, what transpired in the immediate aftermath of hearing about it for the first time.
There were these rumors and reports last week that you're trying to just decide between Huggies and Pampers, and then the internet decides that the Steelers wanted to trade for you. What did you think of that?
That's funny. I didn't really see anything. My agent texted me and was like, "Hey, this is and then of course I saw it after. He texted me and said, "Hey, this is a report that's out there. I don't think there's anything to it, but I'll check into it." So I saw it, and it's funny though. When he sent it to me, I was like, I wouldn't say your heart drops, but you're kind of like, what? Like you think, and then I'm like thinking about well, I can't even I have a no trade clause in my contract, so I would know about it if I was getting traded, or if that was something that was going to happen. I'd have to be on board with it. So, which I'm not. I'm happy here in Jacksonville. I plan on, we want to win a Super Bowl here, and I think we can do that. And I don't want to leave Jacksonville. So I'm happy here. Obviously, not going to Pittsburgh.
Who's the person, since you don't have a GM right now, who's the person that calls your agent? What did they say? Like, that's such a crazy moment.
I can't remember. I think my agent reached out to Adam Schefter and was just like, "Hey, you heard anything about this?" Because you're right, because we don't have a GM. And
like who?
Liam texted me actually, I guess the day after it came out, and Liam said, "Shouldn't even have to say this, but that's not coming from us." And I was like, "Yeah, I figured." So we're all good. He didn't even have to send that. I didn't. There was no doubt on my side. But
the Jags don't want to lose you, but that's not. The Steelers might have wanted you. That story was totally not true? They didn't.
I have no idea. I know that we weren't involved in conversations about that as far as Jacksonville goes. I don't know about the Steelers' desires or wants, or I don't know.
You really don't know? That's crazy. I would need to know. A Hall of Fame coach named Mike Tomlin is potentially doing like a hard inquiry on you. You don't care? You don't know?
I like Coach Tomlin. He's a good guy, but no, I'm set here. I like I said, we love Jacksonville. This is home for us. And there's a lot more on the football side that, we've yet to accomplish here. And I'm excited about what we're building. The future's very bright, and I want to be the guy here for a long time.
I mean, to me, like, what is a hard inquiry? What is that even supposed to mean?
No,
are you kidding? Mike Tomlin's doing a hard inquiry? How do you know it would be Mike Tomlin who'd be making the call? He's not the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even if this were true, Tony, and they're going right, I don't suppose it's just one quarterback that they're calling on the availability of. Let's not make it more than it is, but I get it. Kay Adams needs clicks on her podcast as well. All right, I mean, seriously, just trying to, Mike Tomlin's putting on a full court press. Wait a minute. This just went from from
some guy put out
rumor
a tweet
that got debunked to now Mike Tomlin is coming at you hard. And how can you turn that down? Like, you know, I do. I mean, I think it's Trevor Lawrence is telling the truth. I think he likes it here. Remember all those stories about, oh, man, he's going to go to Jacksonville. And I know you bring it up all the time, how he's going to miss out on this opportunity or that opportunity. And then you look at where he's from, and he fits in Jacksonville pretty damn well as a small-town kid who went to college in the South and is, you know, looking ahead, making a life for himself in Jacksonville, FLA, with an organization that is building it, or at least attempting to, all around him.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe when he said this is home, that even if he had the opportunity to go, I don't think he wants to uproot his life. I think he does like it here. And I think there has to be at least a baseline level of believing that you can win.
Yeah.
At the ultimate level. Like, nobody knows for sure, but hey, nobody knows when Pittsburgh's going to win another Super Bowl. Yes, they've been good. They get to the playoffs basically every year. At least they have a winning record every year under Tomlin. But that doesn't look like a team that is that close to making it to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, you listen to that, you go, wait a minute, you think the Jaguars? I'm not saying they are, but I think Trevor Lawrence sees the potential in the pieces that they have and the direction that he feels they're moving in right now.
I can understand, you know, people that want to live in the more metropolitan city. They want to be in New York or LA or one of these places and be surrounded by more nightlife, whatever it is that they're looking for to fill their life with. I don't need any of that. And I can understand somebody else not needing any of that. In fact, I run away from that kind of thing. I have no desire to be involved with anything like that. I like that I'm living in a place where it feels like it's 5 small towns make one big city.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I like the feel of this city, and having been in it most of my life, I have no complaints about Jacksonville, Florida. And people from outside of Jacksonville go, how can anyone be content, you know, being in a place like Jacksonville? It's like, well, a lot of us are. And Trevor Lawrence seems to be on that list.
It takes all kinds.
Right.
You know, and look, he's a young guy who's got a young bride with a young daughter, and they've got roots here. You know, I mean, his family was from Georgia. It's not like, you know, again, the whole thing is kind of silly, and it's more just this is just cleaning up the little bit of mess that was made by that last week. And I do appreciate Trevor going on and addressing it as forcefully as he did, but.
Yeah.
Let's
and
not
then
try
it
to make
starts
this
with a chuckle. It's like, oh yeah, that thing.
Right,
You know?
exactly. Let's not make this into the Steelers are putting all their eggs in the Trevor Lawrence basket.
That's silly.
So, all right. Trevor Lawrence was asked. That was actually the latter part of it. A couple other things he weighed in on. He was talked about Liam Cohen and not just the X's and O's. He expects that the play calling, that's an aspect of it. But you know, we get into that whole. Scheme guy versus leader of men guy. Well, it doesn't mean you can't be both. And Trevor Lawrence said yesterday that leadership is something that he expects from Liam Cohen.
The play calling is super important. I think being a head coach, there's a lot more to it than that, though. Obviously, that's one side of the ball, and he's responsible for that as far as our plan. And then when the game starts, you know, he's going to be the one calling it. So, of course, that's important. But I think just from the leadership perspective, having that energy day in, day out is something that I think our team needs. You know, we've been through a lot. The last 2 seasons have been not what we expected after what we did, you know, 2 years ago. And I think this team just needs some juice. And I know he's going to bring that. And as players, I'm ready to lead and bring that as well, because we all have to buy in, right? We have to buy into what he's doing, the culture he's trying to set.
We know that after the news coming out of Cincinnati yesterday, it feels less and less likely that T. Higgins is going to be a free agent in the first place. But certainly he was never all that likely, I don't think, to land in Jacksonville ultimately. But it's a name that's at the top of a lot of people's list when it comes to the free agents potentially available. And look, Trevor's played with him. And so he was asked yesterday by Kay, what is his pitch to T. Higgins to come down to Jacksonville if the opportunity avails itself?
Obviously, I'm sure he's got the relationship with Joe. Like, if everything goes well, I'm sure he wouldn't want to leave. But if that wasn't the case, I think I would definitely be up next as far as T and our relationship and what we've done in the past. And we played together for 2 years, had a lot of success in college, and we could definitely do that again. And Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville is a pitch in and of itself as far as a place to live. You're in Florida. No state income tax.
That's all you
a
have
lot
to
of good
say.
things.
That's it.
All right, so again, T. Higgins listed by many as the number one available free agent out there. I think what's interesting, Tony, is in the history of the Bengals, anytime that they franchise tagged a guy, he's left the next year.
Mm-hmm.
They've never used the tag twice. They've only worked out a long-term deal with one player under the franchise tag. That was Carl Pickens, the former Tennessee wide receiver back in the day. And he was only there for that 1 year. They let him go. They signed it. They put the franchise tag on him, and in lieu of playing under it, he signed a 5-year extension. After that first year, he was let go, and he was gone. So no players ever had the franchise tag placed on him by the Cincinnati Bengals has spent more than one more season with that team. And so that's historically been how they are, because that price gets a 20% bump in the second year of the tag, which would put T. Higgins on a path to make like $26 million this year. And when you've got to pay Jamar Chase, and the feeling is that's going to be maybe a $40 million number on average annual value, that's too much to pay to your top two receivers. Well, maybe. Or maybe they sign them both to extensions, and they can finagle those cap hits and balance them off against each other, because there are different ways to stack it. When that money hits your bottom line, I know this. If Cincinnati wants to be a Super Bowl contender, they should probably do everything they can at least to bring back T. Higgins for this year.
Yeah.
If not on a long-term deal. And quite frankly, I think he's probably worth 20. I think that's about the sweet spot for him, about $26 million. I don't think he's in that Justin Jefferson range of player, or nor should he be paid like that. But I could see paying T. Higgins $26 million if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, if I can make that work on my salary cap.
Yeah, I think it's likely from the Higgins perspective on it. If he gets to free agency, he's going to get more than that, and it would be frustrating for him, would be my guess, that would be the way that it plays out. But from a Bengals perspective, yeah, keep him together for one more year. If that's all we can do, then that's what we're going to do. And at that kind of number, because I do think his market value is higher than that, look, you may have the same kind of games that you were playing last offseason when you put the franchise tag on him and he's like, I don't want to show up, right? And that's what he did for the offseason. He didn't show up there with the Bengals, but he did when the season started. So maybe they're in a similar place where that's how this whole thing's going to play out. I don't know if it being the second straight year with the franchise tag would have any kind of effect on T. Higgins when he decides to actually report, if he pushes it further into the season than he did last year. I don't know what the answers to any of that are, but I think Cincinnati, if they were getting T. Higgins on one more year for $26.2 million, are getting a bit of a bargain.
ESPN did a piece on where the top 50 free agents would best fit if they were to leave their team. And Washington was picked as the best landing spot for T. Higgins, who was ranked as their number one overall free agent. It's hard to argue. Washington be a great landing spot, right? Yeah. We just saw Jaden Daniels go to the NFC Championship game. They had Terry McLaurin, who's a speedster. You put T. Higgins, big body guy on the other side. That seems like a really good complementary piece. So out of the entire 50 free agents, only one guy was deemed to be the best team fit, being the Jacksonville Jaguars for that player. It was not Chris Godwin, who they said going back to Tampa would be his best option. It was Carlton Davis, the corner, who was, here's what they say. The Jags defense allowed a league-high 257.4 passing yards per game last season. The club wants to address the secondary in the offseason. Yes, agree, factual. Davis is a veteran with man and zone coverage traits. He's a willing tackler on the perimeter. Started 13 games for the Lions in 2024 before he went on injured reserve due to a broken jaw. In 7 seasons, he has 11 interceptions and 68 pass breakups, can create on-ball disruption opposite Tyson Campbell, and he's probably not going to break the bank as the top corner on the market. I added at the end there. There are a few corners listed ahead of him, but not too many, and it's definitely a market that I think the Jags will come out of free agency with at least one new starter.
Yeah.
Right? Like whether it's safety, whether it's corner, whether it's offensive guard, maybe defensive tackle, but one of those spots I think they will sign a guy that at least they look at and say, well, barring something falling into our laps in the NFL draft, we expect this guy to start for us.
Yeah, they don't have, again, when we talked about at the top of the show, what are you looking forward to seeing next, and talking about what they aren't going to spend in free agency, and it does feel like they can kind of sign one kind of splashy guy. And if they do that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a corner that's going to be coming in on something in that 11 to 13 million kind of range, which is what a Carlton Davis would fit in. Is that kind of number, that would be where the kind of, quote, splash would be for this team. You're talking about T. Higgins with Washington. Washington has the third most cap space in the league.
Right.
Like, that's a team that they're going to, if they're involved in the Higgins sweepstakes, there's no cap to how high they can go.
And they should push it because they got a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Right.
So take advantage of it while you can. When we come back, we'll go around the league. We'll take a look at what Rob Demovsky, who covers the Packers, says about the likelihood of Jaire Alexander being let go by that team. We both had him number one on our list, Tony and I, of our potential free agent signings for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, Anthony Campanile would have a big say in whatever went down, having coached on that same defense. But Jaire Alexander, a guy who has missed a lot of time due to injury. When he's healthy, he was good enough to get the biggest cornerback contract in the league when he signed his current deal. So we'll tell you what Demovsky had to say about that situation. And we'll get into our top 5 countdowns in hour number 2. Who are the top 5 non-first round draft picks that the Jaguars have ever made? You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Catch Gators basketball on 1010XL.
Swamp dominance continues at O'Connell as the Gators look to smother the Sooners. Florida, Oklahoma. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
Plumbing problem, septic emergency, HVAC system not doing its job? Don't panic. Call the pros at Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. From leaks, clogged drains to septic installations and air conditioning repairs, we've got the tools and expertise to get it done right. Dial 904-862-6769 now and let our friendly team handle the dirty work so you don't have to. Remember, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
In a divorce, it's important to have a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. We champion your rights as an individual and your role as a parent, taking an aggressive approach in court while leveling the legal playing field in domestic matters. That's what a champion does. That's what Cordell & Cordell can do for you.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL celebrates high scorers.
1010XL and Southeast Orthopedic Specialists celebrate scholar athletes.
In class and on the court.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Frangie Show.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and I tell you what, you got something really cool coming up. A Triumph Off-Road Day. Give us all the details.
We do. It's February 22nd. It's at North Florida Motocross Park up in Hilliard. We're going to be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. doing demo rides. Bring your gear and come ride a Triumph dirt bike.
And that means you can find out everything that Triumph has to offer off-road.
Absolutely. We will have the 250 and the new 450 ready to ride.
Check it out. All the details are on Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood. Clayton, you talk a lot about a diamond's cut grade. Why is a diamond graded for cut?
Frank, that's simple. We cut grade diamonds to show a measurement of beauty and light return to the person looking at the diamond so they can understand the value difference between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one cut for maximum weight. Now, it gets a little more complicated when you find out that the American Gem Society Laboratory actually assigns performance grades and proportion grades using patented computer software and grades for polish and symmetry using a microscope. The end result of cut grading is a final grade that can go from a 0 or ideal to a 10, which is poor. Each of these grades are priced a little differently. That's why you can see a diamond with a fine color and clarity priced low, particularly on the internet, because a trained gemologist won't buy it for resale because of the poor cut. Unfortunately, these type deals aren't good deals. They're bad deals for the unknowing customer.
Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
This is Hayes Carlion for First Florida Credit Union. Come join me in Helmets and Heels as we celebrate First Florida Credit Union's new Roosevelt location. Helmets and Heels will be broadcasting live from 6319 Roosevelt Boulevard from 12 to 2 p.m. this Thursday. Come learn about the many ways First Florida Credit Union is enriching people. There will be refreshments and cool giveaways. Come see Helmets and Heels this Thursday live from 12 to 2 p.m. at First Florida Credit Union's Roosevelt location. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
How much do the performers for Super Bowl halftime shows get paid?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Super Bowl performers are not paid for their shows, but production costs are covered by the NFL, which could go as high as $15 million.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Pickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The second-ranked Florida Gators basketball team looked to defend their home court tonight when they welcomed the Oklahoma Sooners to the O-Dome. With just 6 games left to finish the regular season, head coach Todd Golden knows his team cannot overlook any opponent, and they must continue to play the way they have on this 4-game win streak.
Oklahoma's definitely really hard to guard. I think I kind of put them in that same bucket as Vanderbilt, where you can have different ideas and different things you're trying to execute defensively and still have a really hard time guarding them. And so our best bet for winning this game is to try to limit them the best we can that way, but also really hurt them on the glass and really hurt them on the offensive end as well, where hopefully their lack of size shows up a little more for us. But they're tough to guard.
Gators in Oklahoma tonight, tip-off at 7. Catch the game live on 10:10 a.m. It's 63 degrees at 11:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we'll get to the Tuesday top 5 coming up again. Top 5 non-first round picks by the Jags. In other words, draft picks made after round 1 all time for the Jags. Who are your top 5? Tony and I are going to unveil our top 5 best as well as our top 5 value plays, which might not be the exact same thing. Tone, before we go around the league, just wanted to get to this and reference it a couple of times. Rob Demovsky over at ESPN did a piece on what's going on with the Green Bay Packers this offseason, and one guy that you and I are interested in, if he is healthy, is Jaire Alexander. And, again, Jaire Alexander got a contract that paid him as the highest paid cornerback in the National Football League when he signed the deal. And so anyway, Dembowski talks about the likelihood of what they're going to do with the entire roster. But the interesting part to us is mostly about Alexander here. He's in the let go release category. and says there's strong indications that the Packers' time will end with him without playing another down for the team. And for the second straight season, though, he appeared in only 7 out of 17 games, didn't play after November 17th, despite practicing on a semi-regular basis, went on IR the final week of the season, and then underwent knee surgery on, the way Debunking puts it, on what he said was a torn PCL, which I don't like that characterization of it anyway. It's like puts a little doubt on, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but I don't understand. If you don't play since November 17th, I don't understand. I guess he's trying to come back, and he's trying to be available for his teammates. And I suppose that answers why you would put off until after the season as to whether or not you are going to get that surgery or when you're going to get that surgery. But, I mean, look, if he's healthy, I don't know if he's going to come at a discount. I don't know what he's going to expect on the open market. But if he's healthy, I think he's the best corner that's available out there. But how concerning is it to you that he has missed as much time as he has if you're considering plugging him in? I mean, if you sign Jaire Alexander with the idea that he's an opening day starter for this football team.
I think the only reason we can even have this conversation is because he's had the injury problems he's had the last couple of years. And that it's the contract that Green Bay's trying to figure out what to do now that we've had back-to-back years with 7 games. What do we do with this? Right? We can't keep paying him among the top 5-10 corners in the league if he's not going to be playing for us. So we got to figure out some other way to deal with this. Maybe they would prefer to redo the contract and kind of drop that number down, but that might not be an option from the Alexander side of things. Right. So now they're having to at least consider, what do we do if we cut him? It's why we had him at number 1 on the trade thing, is because we have we have someone here who knows him, right? And should have some kind of inside way to get information on what's going on with Jaire Alexander. So from that perspective, if coach is comfortable with it, then I'm comfortable going forward with whatever that would be, right? It's why I had him at number 1 on the list, is we have a coach that his level of comfort will match mine. And if the team's willing to sign him, then I'm willing to be comfortable with it signing him. No other team really has that available to him if Jaire Alexander becomes available. They'd have to be guessing a little bit more than Jacksonville would from that kind of perspective. I don't know if that's how that's going to work out.
Right.
I don't know if the report's going to be, it's fine. We should go ahead with this. And if he wants to still be paid near the top of the market, we should be willing to do that because I think he is still that kind of player. The whole thing says to me that Jaire Alexander probably still feels like he should be paying close to top of market, is how I read the situation. I don't know how comfortable anybody is going to be with that necessarily, but our guys should have a better idea of that than anybody else.
And you wonder, too, would he then, if the market isn't what he expects, would he be willing to do a short-term deal? Like even Maybe. A 1-year prove-it-to-me kind of deal where you plug him in, and then that doesn't mean you're not going to draft a corner, but then you don't have the need to feel like you've got to force somebody into the starting lineup who's not ready.
And does playing for Campanile make that a more comfortable situation for him if it is short-term? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Campanile would know about his practice habits.
Yes.
Whether he's a good locker room guy, whether he's got that diva quotient going on, or how much he's got it. In the Debunking article over at ESPN.com, he notes that Alexander declined to speak with reporters on the last day of availability at the end of the season, saying he had, quote, nothing good to say, and that he didn't know if he would be back with the team in 2025, which is kind of the reason that prompted all this stuff. He himself putting it out there, I don't know what my status is going to be going forward. So people started to speculate, well, maybe he's available.
Opening the door.
Right. And I want to know about that nothing good to say. What have the Packers done, or in your opinion, that you would state that? Or are you just unhappy with your own availability over the last couple of years? I can't begin to tell. It doesn't smell like that. Because guys wouldn't typically say, well, I missed a lot of time due to injury, so I have nothing good to say. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem like it makes logical sense. So I don't know what his issues are. Maybe they're valid. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's overblown. But if Campanile doesn't have the inside track, then I'm with you. Other than Green Bay themselves, who would have a better feeling of how this situation could play out if you bring him in?
Yeah.
Right, and what you're going to get, and are you going to get a motivated guy who's looking to prove? And that's why that short-term deal could be kind of appealing, right? Because you've got to perform if you want to jump back into the free agent pool in a year or two and still command a lot of money, top dollar at your position. It's definitely a position of need for the Jags, and I'm hoping at least one. They've got to have at minimum one walk-in starter in free agency, maybe more than that. You know, I mean, with $33-ish million, Tony, and the chance to create more, either with releases, trades, restructuring, what have you. All the Jags have restructured a lot of contracts already. You can find 2 starters for less than $30 million in the National Football League. You know, you can get a guard. Maybe you're not going to get Jaire Alexander. Maybe you would. Maybe you get a Carlton Davis or a corner for in that $10 to $12 million range that you feel good about in the next 2 to 3 year window,
right?
And go from there. So with that, why don't we go around stories around the rest of the NFL?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The 2-week window for teams to apply their franchise or transition tag to one player on their rosters begins today with March 4th as the deadline for a tag to be applied. Tom Pelissero reported yesterday that Cincinnati is working to get a long-term deal done with wide receiver T. Higgins, but that the Bengals are likely to use their franchise tag on Higgins for a second straight year if a deal can't be reached, which would get Higgins a 1-year, $26.2 million fully guaranteed deal.
If they can't get it done, or if let's say they get the deal done, they don't use the tag, the speculation, there may not be another tag candidate in the entire National Football League.
There's not a whole lot out there.
Right? And the only year since the tag has been in effect in which no one's gotten it was 1996. So it's unlikely that it'll go that way, but it doesn't look like we're going to see, like, let's say the top 6 or 7 guys be taken off the free agent list.
We've seen plenty of years where that's been the case. This season doesn't seem to be that. Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman Ben Cleveland was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence in Baldwin County, Georgia on February 12th. A field sobriety test registered a .178 blood alcohol content level, which is nearly double the legal limit. Cleveland was released after being bonded out shortly after his arrest.
What did he say? I had 2 or 3 beers with dinner, is my guess. I mean, they all do, right?
Say,
was it, because might have been his story. He was, was he, how much over the legal limit?
Almost double, .178.
Okay. There was another one I saw with a guy that was, a story I was reading yesterday, might not have been a football player, but was more than double the legal limit. And like they all do, I had 1 or 2, 3 beers with dinner, over the course of.
I don't want to tell you it was 10.
Exactly. I did have 3 beers. I just continued from that point in time. It doesn't look like Ezra Cleveland is related to, was it Ben Cleveland?
Ben Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah. You see offensive lineman Cleveland get in trouble. Ezra, good man. Just stay out of trouble. Do your thing and come back. He's still a young guy. Ezra Cleveland will turn 27 in May. Man, I want to be a fly on the wall when they evaluate all these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a guy there, though, Tony. You got so many issues on the offensive line with Mitch Morse probably only here for 1 year more at best, and then the right guard position up in the air. You have to determine whether or not you agree, with this new set of eyeballs on the coaching staff and whatever the front office looks like on the contracts that were given out to guys like Walker Little. Ezra Cleveland's is one of those. I think you just better count on him holding down his spot. We can't afford to start opening up new areas of concern on this football team. I thought he played solid football last year for the Jags. Missed a couple of games due to injury, but overall was pretty good. And again, you'd like to be great, but you can get by with a number of starters who are pretty good. I think Ezra Cleveland fits that bill. For the Jaguars, they need help elsewhere. When we return, let's get into our top 5. At least we'll unveil our official top 5 based on the Chad and Sandy real estate question today. Just your best 5 draft picks that were taken after the first round by the Jags in franchise history. And then we've also got a bonus top 5 with the best 5 value picks the way we see it. You're listening to Jaguars Today. We continue on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Josie, Matt Hayes, and Leon.
What about the motto of the Musketeers? All for one and one for all.
XL Prime Time.
All for one?
Weekdays 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble. But if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Don't miss the biggest basketball rivalry in the city as your UNF Ospreys welcome the JU Dolphins in the River City Rumble. Thursday, February 20th at UNF Arena. North Florida continues ASUN Conference play at home with JU Thursday, February 20th at UNF Arena, tipping off at 8. Visit UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now to secure your seats. UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now. Swoop!
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy. From delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash, there are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Upgrade your home with the winning combination of style and performance from Renewal by Andersen. Energy efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. For a limited time, buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires February 28th. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
This month, 1010XL shines the spotlight on African Americans in our community who have made the First Coast a better place to live. I'm E.T. Listen for my stories during Black History Month on 1010XL. Brought to you by Instant Keys and McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center.
Hey folks, Nick here for Zero Res, and if you still have a little bit of time for the hottest price of the year on carpet cleaning, maybe you had people over for the game or you're doing early spring cleaning, but in February, only $147 for 3 rooms, plus the 4th room is free. That's right, schedule now and you'll get 3 rooms for $147, and the 4th room is free. Yeah, the 4th room is on me. Hottest price of the year. Zero Res. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location at World Golf Village or visit AckermanUrology.com.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
You survived the cold, and it's time to heat up your spring with a cigar tasting of Perdomo cigars. Join Tobacco Co. Saturday, February 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m. for a tasting extravaganza featuring Perdomo cigars rolled in Nicaragua. Food, drinks, and specials on cigars. This is your chance to experience the quality and value Perdomo offers. Tobacco Cove on Bay Meadows Road. More than a cigar store, it's an experience.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, coming up tomorrow, the Wednesday mock draft show. This will be, number 5, I think, Tone, that we've been doing just to give different looks at how the draft may go for the Jacksonville Jaguars based on the resources they have right now. So if you want to knock one out today, go to ProFootballNetwork.com or you can go to PFF. They've got a mock draft generator. But if you don't subscribe to PFF, you're limited to doing the first 3 rounds, I think, in that, which is fine. Just screenshot your efforts, hold on to them till tomorrow, and you can send us to us, via social media or the text line tomorrow with your screenshots. But what we have decided to do here internally, myself, Tony, and Dylan, we know that free agency is going to change the draft to some degree. So we're all going to pick a position. It could be we may end up picking the same position. We're going to presume that they drafted a starter at one position, whatever position that is. Safety,
signed a starter.
Corner, signed a starter.
Yeah.
Did I say drafted?
You did, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Signed a starter in free agency. So that position at least that doesn't mean you can't draft that position.
No.
But all of a sudden, if you...
It changes the urgency of it.
If you sign a guard...
Yeah.
That you presume is going to start, right? $10, $12 million a year. Starter money. You're not going to take a guard or an interior offensive lineman likely with your first or second pick.
Yeah.
You would think at that point. Likely. Or same with corner. If you sign Jaire Alexander, are you going to draft Will Johnson at 5? Probably not, right? So we'll all pick our own position. You can do that if you choose to, and if you do, just let us know which position you filled in free agency, because that's going to be a part of it. As we sit here and go, oh, we got to get this, 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 and this, it's all going to change in roughly a month's time.
Yeah.
So I think it's conservative to say the Jags will find at least one starter in free agency. So pick the one, pick the spot. Don't even have to, you don't have to tell us what player it is. And just which position was filled before you went drafting. So we'll look at those tomorrow. All right, let's run through the Tuesday top 5 with the original intended question of the day. We asked you today that this is how we stated it. What are the all-time top 5 non-first round draft picks in Jacksonville Jaguar history? In other words, the top 5 picks made in rounds 2 through 7. I think when you hear that, you're thinking, who are the best players generally we got? There's some value that factors in, but we're going from the best player perspective, and because I think there's going to be a good bit of overlap here, Tone, let's do it 1 through 5, so we'll get a little bit more dramatic towards the end. Dylan, start us off.
I went with number 1, MJD, 2, Tony Brackens, 3, Brad Meester, 4, Daryl Smith, and 5, close personal friend of the program, David Garrard.
Okay, so Dylan just ripped through the whole thing. We didn't get a countdown or anything on that right there, man.
My bad. I thought that's how we're going to do it.
Start us off with number 1 and then give us your number 1. But that's okay. Give us your list again. MJD, who else?
MJD, and then I went Tony Brackens at 2, Brad Meester 3, Daryl Smith 4, and David Garrard at number 5.
Garrard at number 5. All right, Tony, you might as well just empty the both barrels here. Who you got?
Sure. Mojo at number 1, second-round pick in 2006, 3-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro in 2011 when he led the NFL in rushing. I have Rasheem Mathis, number 2 on my list, second-round pick in 2003. His 30 interceptions doubles the next closest player in franchise history in that stat, Aaron Beasley with 15. The only player in franchise history with over 100 passes defensed. A stat for that record that's only been kept since 1999. So that's most of the franchise history. Who knows where Beasley would be on the list? He is second still on the team in that stat. He's got 3 pick sixes, first team All-Pro in 2006. Tony Bracken's third on my list, second round pick in 96. Franchise leader in sacks with 55, second team All-Pro in 1999. Franchise leader in fumbles forced with 27, nearly doubling Ngakwe's 14, which is second best in the team's history. Only defensive player with double-digit fumble recoveries in franchise history with 13. Number 4, Brad Meester, second-round pick in 2000, 209 career games for the Jags, the most in franchise history. Number 5 for me, David Garrard, fourth-round pick in 2002, was a quarterback for 2 of the team's playoff runs, and he's the only other one where they got it bracketed like that. He's the only other quarterback to make 2 playoff runs in franchise history, but a fourth-round pick, 9-3 as a starter in 2007, had the iconic moment against Pittsburgh, obviously, that year in the wild card round, and who knows how that season would have ended if Dennis Northcutt would have held on to the ball against the Patriots.
Yeah, that gets brought up a lot. That would have, with the extra point, tied the game. Like, they were still just matching scores, right? Yeah. They were never to the point where they were pulling ahead in that particular game, but they did go toe-to-toe. And I told you many times, one of the most disappointing post-game locker rooms I've ever been in, because there was not as much anger as I thought there should have been in that round of the playoffs, you know, the divisional round. Like, I felt like
we hung with them, boys.
There was some of that in that locker room afterwards. Like, okay, they're undefeated, but we didn't get wiped out today. So this is why we did 2 separate top 5s, because our first 4 are exactly the same. And I don't need to regurgitate everything you said about that, but MJD, Rasheem Mathis, Tony Brackens, Brad Meester. I mean, you get a guy in the second round, he plays the most games in franchise history. He's a starter for you. He's a solid player. He's never the best, but far from the worst at his position. You just didn't have to worry about that spot for years and years and years. Number 5,
years.
I love DG. And if you're listening, DG, stick around because we've got our value top 5. I put Unique Ngakoue in the number 5 spot here. It's not just about what he did with Jacksonville to me. It's like, it's not just about where his career went. How good was that pick? Did you identify talent? In the 3rd round, Tony, how many Jaguars historically do you think have had an 8-sack season? I don't know the exact number, but it's not
a big number.
It's not a ridiculous number.
No.
Jan did it 4 straight years. Right out of the gates, 8, 12, 9.5, 8 for the Jaguars. And then he had 8 the following year after he got traded away mid-season. And granted, he's bounced around the league, but he's had a 10-sack season in 2021. He had a 9.5-sack season in 2022. He's got 70.5 sacks, which is 15 more than anybody in franchise history has ever had in a Jaguar uniform. Now, granted, he didn't do all this as a Jacksonville Jaguar, but that to me doesn't make the pick any more impressive to get him in the 3rd round. I mean, if Unique Ngakoue had gone in the 1st round of the NFL draft, and I get that year the Jags were picking top 5, but if he had gone like pick 20 and had this career, you'd say that's a pretty good career, even for a guy picked 20th. So to get him in the 3rd round, I thought was tremendous. He's probably cost himself a lot of money, but he continues to be, although this year really didn't have much of an impact as a pass rusher, but even if he has no more sacks in the NFL, he's had a pretty damn good pass rushing career. 2 double-digit sack seasons, a 9.5, 3 more seasons, 2 9.5s, and 3 more with 8 sacks in those years. So he made it just in at number 5 on my list. All right, let's take a break here. We'll come back. We'll look at some of your top 5s, a lot of the same names. But then I think the more interesting top 5 is top 5 value draft picks that the Jaguars have gotten over the course of time. A little easier to identify the top-end talent that they've gotten after round 1, so we'll see what we came up with in the other exercise when we return in a moment. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Let's take a look inside 1010XL.
Who wants the Grand Tour? That would be terrific. That would be great.
We have the drill in the morning.
Very amusing.
Jaguars Today from 10 to noon.
Good.
Helmets and heels until 2.
Yes.
XL Prime Time and the Franchi Show afternoons.
This is great.
Then Baloo and Hacker take you into the night.
All in one location.
1010XL.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
It's ET here, and did you know that slow speed accidents can still cause serious injuries? Ignoring minor pain today can mean big problems tomorrow. Don't wait. Call my guys at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center, the auto accident experts.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WindoWorld wants you to do. WindoWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WindoWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WindoWorld can.
And with WindoWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WindoWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WindoWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WindoWorld, and to top it off, WindoWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WindoWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindoWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
WindoWorld also offers energy-efficient doors.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Craft beers, food trucks, live music, and more beer at the Riverside Craft Beer Festival this Sunday afternoon at Riverside Arts Market. Get your tickets at riversidecraftbeerfestival.com. Proceeds benefit Community Peace Care and the Rotary Foundation.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror, fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99 and get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, Jaguars Today coming down the home stretch here. We'll take a look at some of your submissions for the Tuesday top 5, your top 5 all-time Jaguar draft picks that took place after round 1. Again, tomorrow we will do our Wednesday mock drafts, and we're going to do it from the approach of the Jags sign a starter in free agency. What position that starter fills is up to us or up to you if you're submitting one on the program tomorrow, and we'll probably have a draft analyst join us as well at some point in the show. Here are a few of the top 5s that were submitted to us today, Tony. Rolling them, I'll list them 1 through 5 unless otherwise noted, because some people didn't rank them. That's fine. Doom went with MJD, Mathis, Brackens, Meester. That's a very popular top 4. And he went with Rob Meyer in the 5th spot. Let's see. Scott went MJD, Donovan Darius, first-round draft pick. Tony Brackens, Daryl Smith, and pick them between Scobie and Meester, so you can have them both because you got to take Double D off the list. I wonder if people just thought that if they weren't the first overall pick by the Jags, they qualified for this, because I saw some James Stewart in here as well. Cristiano's got Brackens, Meester, Mathis, Daryl Smith, and MJD. Let's see the names that stand out otherwise. Aaron Beasley. No, I'm going to say that's not a serious list. Somebody just submitted right there. Logan Cook got some love, Tone, as the 7th-round draft pick. I think he went 247 overall, and he's an all-pro now. So, look, granted, it is as a punter. The value is not as great as some other positions. Greg Jones getting a little love from Bush Drive Rich. He was another good 2nd-round pick by the Jags. Josh Scobie getting some love. Miles Jack getting a little bit. Telvin Smith certainly getting some. I think he absolutely qualifies, even though he only played 5 years in the National Football League. Honorable mention for Quincy Williams. I think that's a good one. I considered him, right? Especially on the value side. Guy's been a Pro Bowler a couple of times, at least once, with the Jets. Didn't flourish here. Feels like the Jags gave up on him too soon, quite frankly. But Quincy Williams has been a really, really good player. Allen Robinson getting some mention. Brenton Strange and Jarian Jones from Chris both made it in there. That's a younger Jaguar fan, I got to believe, right there.
Seems so, yeah.
What else here? Anything else that stands out? No, that's most of Brandon Linder. Got a little bit of love as well. Brandon Linder, man, I was looking back. He missed so much time.
We kept waiting on him to have a healthy year.
Oh, my God. He would always be, when those lists of the top players at each position would come out, he'd generally get some love from fellow players or front office types and be ranked around like the 10th best center in the league, sometimes higher.
Yeah.
But never. And
it was at a time when that was one of the only spots where they had a player
that you
at
felt
all.
Right, really good at. But Brandon Linder played every game in the season one time in his career in 2019. Didn't play into his 30s, which is another thing. Look, man, you make enough money in 8 years in the National Football League if you are smart about it. But 15 games his rookie season, 3 in his second season, then 14 and 13, then 9. Then he had the full season in 2019. Then each of the last 2 years, he started all 9 of the games he played. Started every one of the 88 games he showed up in a Jaguars uniform in, but did not make my top 5 in either category. Why don't we do these one at a time? I don't really have them necessarily ranked in order, but give me one guy off your top 5 value list.
Yeah, I kind of have it in an order. I'll start at the bottom of mine. I'll go with Aaron Beasley, 3rd-round pick in 1996. I mentioned all the stats where Rasheed Mathis is number 1 on that list. Beasley is number 2 in every one of those numbers.
Gotcha.
In franchise history. I think A.J. Boye would be in the argument for the second-best corner, right, in franchise history, but I don't think he's above Beasley because of the amount of time that Beasley was here. And Jalen's kind of the same thing. I just don't think he was here long enough necessarily to overtake Aaron Beasley in my mind, at least among those kind of lists. But we're talking beyond the first round anyway here. And one of those guys is a first-round pick and the other is a free agent signing. So Aaron Beasley, number 5 for me.
For me, and I'll try to do the rough 5 through 1 along with you here. Like, I think a guy like Cam Little could one day
be on it.
Be in this conversation, right? Like, I'm not opposed to putting specialists if they come in at an incredibly great value. And I did put Logan Cook as kind of like the fifth guy on here as a seventh-round draft pick. He's, if not the best, among the handful of best players at his position.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not a position that's seen as nearly as important as most of the ones on offense and defense, but it's the job he's asked to do.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good at it.
Yeah, I thought about Scobie as a fifth-round pick. He didn't make my 5, but he was one of the other Rands for me. At number 4, I have Vince Manawai, third-round pick in 2003, referred to as the Gentle Giant from those who had the opportunity to cover him, but he was a monster along the line of scrimmage. I think he was 15. I think when they did that, the top 25 of the first 25, he was somewhere around there on that list when that got released a few years ago. Vince Manawai, number 4 for me.
I had him at number 3, honestly. So we're thinking along the same lines there. At number 4, I had Telvin Smith. Telvin only played.
Switched 3 and 4.
Okay, so Telvin and Manawai right there. Like, Manawai played longer. Telvin might have had a little bit better peak. Telvin had the most tackles in the National Football League in the period of time that he played in the National Football League. For 5 years, in that cumulative half decade, he had the most tackles of anyone in the NFL. Then never played again.
Yeah.
But if you told me I was getting a guy in the 5th round that was going to lead the NFL in total tackles over a 5-year period and then never play again, you're like, sign me up.
Yeah.
How many 5th-round picks that you don't get anything out of? Maybe you get a year or two. Maybe it takes them a few years to develop and they pop on somebody else's roster. Give me 5 high-level years from Telvin Smith, even without play. I mean, he could have been a guy that was an all-time Jaguar, if he had his mind straight off the field with some of the stuff going on. So we've got those similar guys in those spots at 3 and 4. Who you got at 2? I
have David Garrard at number 2. I had him number 1 on the other list, but number 2 on this list, like the value kind of list. David Garrard, for all the reasons that I went through. 4th-round pick in 2002. He's the only quarterback, again, in franchise history that's been to 2 playoffs. The only one, outside of Burnell. Like, it's him. So
does it count if he only played in one of the playoffs?
Well,
he let him do it.
He let him do it. We've talked to all the guys that were on that team in 2005, and we've had plenty of guys that were a part of that team that said they thought David should have played.
Right. Why switch at that point?
Right.
Not that. Look, it didn't mean Byron wasn't your quarterback of the future the way you looked at him at that point, but he hadn't played.
Prominent guys, right? Like it's Donovan Darius and it's Fred Taylor. Like it's that level of player that's like, I don't know why.
We were hot. We should have stayed with it.
Like that kind of thing going on. But yeah, number 2 for me.
Yeah, I had him there as well as a 4th-round pick. One of the best quarterback in Jaguar history, but he's far from the worst quarterback in Jaguar history. And if you can get a guy that starts for you, it'll be interesting to see who you have at number 1. I have Rob Meyer. He's always my answer here. 7th-round selection, man. And the guy practically never missed time. And you almost didn't notice when he was in the game, which was a huge compliment to him. Because
considering the guys he was running with.
He was rotating in for Stroud or Henderson. Yeah. And whenever he was on the field, it was at the expense of one of those guys. And there was not a massive drop-off. And again, if you had to play the amount of snaps that those guys played, maybe there would have been a bigger drop-off. But for a guy, Tony, that played for 9 years here, and the only uniform he ever put on was solid as the day is long. They had 4 7th-rounders that year. He's the one that really popped, which shows you the value of having late picks. Occasionally, you're not going to get a superstar. You're going to find a guy that well exceeds occasionally, especially if you have multiple shots at it. I think they had Danny Clark in that 7th round, too, who's a pretty solid player. Interesting, I didn't see anybody mention Rob Johnson because of the
what it netted him.
Right, I look exactly. Like, they pick Rob Johnson, they flip that into Fred Taylor and Tavian Banks. Tavian got hurt. Freddie T alone, well worth that. But I looked at it more like what that player did. And Rob Johnson, was okay in the NFL. But the value that he brought to the Jaguars, obviously, was greater. But I didn't look at it from the standpoint of he was a great pick because they're able to flip that pick for something else.
Yeah, we've done, in years past, we've had the who's the best 7th round pick.
Right, the best in this round.
Like this kind of round. And it is like the Meyer thing every year when we do the 7th round. It's like, ooh, right? Like it's so far and away. And Telvin Smith is kind of the same thing in the 5th round.
Right.
You know, at this point, it's why they're at those kind of places. And Garrard generally does that same kind of thing in the 4th round, right? In franchise history, there's a reason and I was just going through the whole thing. Like the entire Jaguars draft history, I was like, did I miss anyone? Did I miss? Have I forgotten? And I was like, no, I don't think I did.
No, I went through the whole thing too. Went through every year's draft classes and tried to look at it. I think honestly, I think the biggest debate is who's the best overall draft pick the Jags have ever made. I would still right now vote for Tony Baselli. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
for goodness sakes. But a lot of people would vote for Fred Taylor, and saying that the Hall of Fame's kind of not a fair arbiter of who's greater because we all know the politics that are behind it and how difficult it is in a small market to break through the Pro Bowls and all that. But Tony did break through.
He did. And I think it's hard when having that kind of discussion to ignore. Look, Fred still has an impact here in Jacksonville, but it's not Tony Baselli's impact. Right. And Tony has been here the whole time. Like, obviously, he's been sitting in a chair very similar to mine on this radio station. So, you know, we've worked together from that regard. But he's the guy who led the Generation Jaguar thing. You know, like he's been so involved in so many of the key moments from the beginning to now in the franchise's history. You cannot begin basically the story of the Jacksonville Jaguars without telling he is in every chapter pretty much of the franchise's history, and we don't know what exactly it's going to look like going into the future with him being the EVP now for the franchise too. But Tony's been so hands-on and so dedicated to the city of Jacksonville that it's hard, even beyond being a Hall of Fame player, to not have him at the top of that list for me.
You know, right, and even with all that stuff aside, if you just look at the on-field impact that they made. You know, the Pro Bowls, the All-Pro teams, second team All-Decade for the 1990s, and he does have Hall of Fame on his resume, and I don't think anybody – look, to me, those are the best 2 picks the Jags ever made. They're the best 2 players that have ever put on a Jaguar uniform, in my opinion, with apologies to Jimmy Smith, who would be a close third, and he was obviously not a draft pick of this franchise. But I don't think it's all that difficult as you go through round by round. It's the Baselli or Fred decision in round 1. It's if you put MJD at the top of this other list, then he's got to be the pick in round 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like Manawai to me in round 3 and Ngakoue are probably a pretty good battle.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Garrard in the 4th round, and there is some, if you want to look at the Rob Johnson trade aspect of it and what it brought you ultimately, fine. 5th round, you do have Telvin. I think Scobie was a 5th rounder as well. 6th round's probably the worst
not
round.
much there. Yeah.
Right. And not that you expect great 6th round picks, but
no, but at some point in 30 years,
they've clicked on a few 7th rounders more so it feels like than they've hit on the 7th round tomorrow. So, man, again, good piece over at ESPN if you want to check it out on the best team fits for the top 50 players. More so to illustrate who the top 50 players are in free agency and let you make up your own mind, because just because they don't list you as the best possible team fit doesn't mean the Jags won't be players in some of these markets, Tony. I wonder if Chris Godwin gets more money if T. Higgins stays in Cincinnati. It might be impossible to quantify because we can't see the path that would have played out if Higgins becomes a free agent. Right. But, does he
get the Christian Kirk bump?
He's a little bit older, right, for being the top guy available, right? But he's a little bit older, coming off an injury, but obviously he fits well in that Liam Cohen offense.
No doubt there.
And I think he's an interesting guy to keep an eye on this offseason. If they were, in that scenario, you're likely bringing in Godwin and you're saying goodbye to Christian Kirk. If it plays out that way, they may not even be thinking along those lines. And, I saw somebody on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures earlier talking about, the fact that we don't really have a GM per se at the moment. So is Ethan Wall, as the interim GM, allowed to make the kind of moves that we're talking about with trade offers coming in and stuff like that? I don't think he has, carte blanche to do anything like that. In fact, I don't think he has any authority to do that kind of stuff at the moment.
So no.
But and if I'm a team, like, it's not like there's a heavy trade market going on right now. The new league year hasn't opened up, so you can afford to wait another few days until the Jags have that in place. But I don't think it would be whomever they hire their lone decision anyway, from the way they're putting together, kind of the front office organization by committee approach that they seem to be taking right now. Again, tomorrow, submit your mock draft, screenshot them to us. We're going to do it with the perspective of they filled one starting position, which will be up to us to determine what that is in free agency, and then how that would affect the rest of player procurement with the NFL draft. We'll do a 7-round mock over at Pro Football Network. That's coming up tomorrow. Right now, coming up on your radio dial is Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
All right, Mia O'Brien's here. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, friends. Thank you.
I think you were gone on vacation, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I was.
You were not here. I don't know. I don't get your business.
I was off the grid. Yes, I was off the grid, which was it. I was just telling the boys in the back room. I was saying it was an experience because I've never truly actually left my phone on Do Not Disturb and said I am not answering any emails or going on social media outside of checking in with Kevin and saying, is there anything in the world I need to know about? And aside from that, just
I like to know what's going on, keep up with the news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from beyond that, if I'm on vacation for a week, I'm not. Yeah, I'm
I throw my phone out.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a character flaw that I.
That's all right.
I get some anxiety, but it was a good experience. If nothing else, the Do Not Disturb walking away. I think more people should do that.
You're younger than us, too. Social media has been a prominent part of everyday life for a larger percentage of your life than it has.
And it wasn't even the social media. I think it was, quite frankly, this is happening, and I also needed to do this. Little things that piled up.
Well, the good news is, as with covering the Jags, you only have to check at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Just set the alarm for 11 o'clock and then go back to sleep.
I would like to formally, on the air, thank Shad Khan, Tony Baselli, everyone involved with the GM search for perfectly placing not only when they announced completed interviews, not only when the finalist interviews were scheduled, around my vacation, because they literally announced the finalists as we were driving back from Key West, and so I was in the car, so I saw the graph. I literally saw it pop up, and I said, okay, we don't have to worry about it till Wednesday.
Yeah, the only thing you can miss, you didn't miss.
No,
you know who the finalists are.
Yes.
Quick handicap without getting into all the details. Give me your top 3 in order, most likely hires by the Jaguars.
Yeah, before I left for vacation, I said this is a 2-horse race, and I maintain that it is. So this is a 2-horse race between Ian Cunningham, the assistant GM of the Chicago Bears, who has been the odds-on favorite since arguably October or November, well before there clearly was an opening, and then James Gladstone, the rising star 34-year-old director of scouting strategy for the Rams.
You don't think Ethan Waugh has a legit shot at the job? I'm hoping you say no, personally.
Here's my thing. If you're Shad and you're going to already go out of your way to make so much change, to clearly say, you know what, we need to change. And don't forget, this is not just Trent Baalke. They also let go of their longtime strength and conditioning coach last week. So the 84 people that he was referencing that he didn't want to get rid of.
It's down to 82 now.
It's at the very least down to 82, and it's probably approaching 80 as I say that. And so that's where if you're already going to lean in that direction and say, you know what, we need to completely wipe the slate clean, then do it. Because
I wonder, though, because he was, in my opinion, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but Shad was dragged kicking and screaming to the Trent Baalke decision, right? Had to be, and so.
There's also other voices in the room now.
There are, but when Ethan Waugh is automatically advanced to a finalist, which to me, how do you know without talking to all these guys if Ethan Waugh is better than half of the ones you're going to talk to? I feel like the thumb is on the scale.
That says to me they're trying to do right. That says to me they're trying to do right by him. They're at the very least trying to say, hey, you know what, we respect you, and even if you don't get the job, we do care about you and the fact that you are still employed one way or another when all of this is said and done. I also want to remind folks that once upon a time, Darrell Bevell had an interview, not a finalist interview per se, with the Jacksonville Jaguars for their head coaching job, but he already was guaranteed, hey, we're definitely going to interview, and you see that across the league with whoever the interim GM or head coach is.
You do see a lot of that. It would have made more sense to me, though, to say, Heath Farwell, you've done such a great job at your position, to give him an interview for the head coaching.
Yeah.
You know what? For me, anyway.
Yeah. And there was that argument that could have been made.
Because, and I know people made the argument like, well, the Jags are the only team going after Liam Cohen. Yes, but you could see the direct results of Liam Cohen's influence, and you could feel that if they had another year like that, that wouldn't be the case next year. Whereas Ethan Wall would be a guy that you're the second to a guy that nobody thinks did a terrifically bang-up job, and you've been in the background. What exactly impact, what have you made on
That's
this
what
team?
I will leave you with, Mike. I will leave you with this. And I've thought about this over my 4 or 5 days of vacation. When you look at any candidate that the Jaguars are speaking with during this most recent head coaching cycle or the GM search, I want you to honestly say, is that someone who, if not this go-round, in the next go-round, other teams would be interviewing? Because I think you can certainly say that for Ian Cunningham, who's been a finalist multiple times for multiple jobs.
Agreed.
You could say it about James Gladstone.
Agreed.
And I am not so sure you could say that about Ethan Wall. And in the same vein, circa 2021 and circa 2022, who else was hiring Trent Baalke as their general manager?
Nobody.
So just file all that away, folks.
No, I got you. Which is, to me, why it's absurd that, courtesy interview, a courtesy advance to the finalists. That seems a bridge too far.
I think it's just a respect notion. Thank you for helping us secure Liam. We will advance you. So if nothing else, we're doing right by you, because now your name is in the NFL lineage, in the ethos, as you have been a finalist for a GM job before. And maybe that helps you in the long run if we bring in somebody new and they say goodbye to you in 4 months.
Again, Ethan Wall might do a great job. He might, right? I don't know that. But I want clean break. That's all. And it's not fair to him, perhaps. Life's not fair. Okay.
I wish we had more time, quite frankly.
Well, right. You've got 2 hours. We've eaten into it. I apologize for that, but I enjoy the conversation.
Yes.
And
I've been out. I've been off the grid. So,
right, so look, and again,
my
I'll
first
say this.
sparring in like 5 days.
100%. If Ethan Wall gets the job, I'll back him 100%. I would have backed Baalke because I want them to do well. Right? I don't want him to fail. I don't want to go through a year of, I see they didn't hire my guy, so hope he falls on his face. It's our guy. Whoever that is if you support the Jags, that's who it's going to have to be. And let's hope they make the right choice. Mia, have a great show.
Thank you.
All right, Mia O'Brien coming up next with the ladies' helmets and heels. Tony, drafting time. I got to go do. I haven't done. Usually, I have my mock for the week done by now. I'm going to go home and put some effort into this one, thinking about the new parameters. So anyway, we'll do those tomorrow. Have a draft analyst on with us tomorrow as well. That'll do it for us today. Thanks for playing along. Thank you for listening or participating in the Tuesday Top 5. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Stick around for Helmets and Heels next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.